Beautiful. Okay. Nice to see so many of you here today. I want to reread with purpose the affirmation that we just used for the month of November. Gratitude opens my heart and expands my awareness of the glorious good that is all around me all the time. There is a powerful opportunity we have when you and I choose to cultivate that awareness and cultivate that consciousness, and then we walk in it. And the analogy I've been using for 20 years, it's imagine back in the day, I don't know what day that is, but back in the day when women would wear kind of those large hoop skirts with those big hoops. And so what happened was when their dress would enter the room before they would, because they preceded them. They were extended way beyond the bodies. So this is poor, but it is kind of an analogy that when you cultivate consciousness, your consciousness precedes you. And cultivating a consciousness and a spiritual practice of gratitude precedes you into the room. Last night, my son Seth, who many of you know, well, when he was young, he actually likes it now too, to be honest, but when he was young, this child loved the game Monopoly. And he would whoop the butt of any adult playing. I really don't know how, but he did. It got exhausting playing with him because I knew I'd always lose. And really like losing all the time. But so now last week, he and his fiance closed on their second home, like their second home, which is not even one they're going to live in for long. He's playing Monopoly is what he's doing. He's amassing his properties. And so we went down there to see his house and to, celebrate them and congratulate them a little bit. And because Bill and Marilyn were away and couldn't make it to his engagement party, he decided he wanted to have us all down and he wanted to take us out to dinner, which just does my heart. It does my heart so much good to know that he has this generosity about him. It's got to open doors for him because that's not just a thing. It's the way he shows up in the world. Anyway, so his idea, they had a couple of ideas of restaurants they wanted to go to. And what happened was we couldn't get a reservation where we wanted and someplace else didn't work out. And what happened was we wound up going to this little Italian, they called it a cafe, which I found kind of odd, but it was an Italian kind of cafe, literally a long block from where he lives. Now the place was small and it wasn't particularly special from the outside, but it was quaint. But what happened was when we went to the last restaurant and Bill went in and scoped it out and found that we weren't going to be able to get there was a party there, so we weren't going to be happy. So we said, okay, let's go somewhere else. The other place we wanted to go, couldn't get a reservation. So when we landed in this cafe, it was the result of a carload of practicing religious scientists, that was the adults, and Seth, because he grew up in this, basically just saying, okay, what's the next good thing? And out of feeling grateful and willing and having gratitude, we landed ourselves in this precious little restaurant where it felt like somebody invited us into their home. And I was thrilled because they had this huge gluten-free menu, and don't gag, but it's what I have to do. And they had this huge gluten-free menu, and we just had this wonderful time. And then I spent time with one of the owners, the husband, who's also the chef, because he's a budding horticulturist. And he in his little greenhouse was growing lemons and oranges and other fruit, and like in the greenhouse up here in New Jersey. And so I tell you this because we could have been in disappointment. We could have complained. We could have moaned. Someone could have said, oh, Seth, why didn't you take care of this in advance? We could have done all those things that would have hampered the moments and taken us out of the path of appreciation and fun and joy. So this was a lifetime experience last night. But what I want to say to you is, when you practice gratitude, you create this vessel, okay, you as the vessel, you create this vessel as this welcoming, loving possibility. You welcome healing, you welcome revealing, you welcome joy, you welcome friends, you welcome the next best possibility. And that's what happens when you dedicate some of your mind time, your thinking time, to being active in gratitude. The description for today was choose gratitude consciously. Fear and faith cannot coexist. Neither can gratitude and grouchiness. Now, that's another thing. When you're grouchy, you blind yourself to possibility. When you're complaining, you blind yourself to the miraculous. When you're grouchy and complaining and whining and fault finding and all those things that sometimes they happen, but when that is our focus and it's not gratitude and appreciation and living in possibility, we literally cut ourselves off from the next best thing. This is pure cause and effect. And the thing about cause and effect in this way is sometimes the cause and effect they're not butt up against each other. They're not, the connection is not always perfectly obvious. It's not. There are times when the cause to an effect that you're experiencing was a cause that you set in motion a day ago, a week ago, a month ago. So a friend of mine recently sent me an email and said something, he said in a very strong statement that he was done with his job. And I went, oof, because I know energetically what that feels like, because I've done that. And I bet some of you have too. Have you ever bitched? There I see Desiree saying yes. Have you ever complained about a job or just said, I'm done with this, I'm done, I don't want to be here anymore? And you find yourself catapulted out of a job. Now, you didn't quit the job, you weren't really ready to leave, but all of a sudden, energetically, you are catapulted out. So what I'm saying to you here is, hold on, let me just do one quick thing. All right, there we go. Sorry. So what I'm saying to you is, we have to monitor the cause that we are setting in motion, even if we're not expecting the return of that cause immediately, even if it's not immediate. Can I get a thumbs up? Am I clear? So oh, good for you. Is that from Ed or Desiree? Oh, from Desiree, good for you. Yes. So here's the thing. If you want to cause a change, if you want to have something new, a new possibility, a new career, a new relationship, for Pete's sake, we still want to start by cultivating gratitude. The cultivating gratitude in this moment will set us up to receive the next best, more loving, greater possibility. However, if it's done out of complaining and bitching and moaning and condemning, that sets us on a different trajectory. Am I clear? I really want to be clear. Okay. So for me, and I hope for some of you, if not all of you, life is a spiritual practice. Not, I don't wake up in the morning. I mean, I do this also. It's not about having to wake up and sequester myself for a set of spiritual practices. That's good, that's lovely, and I thoroughly enjoy that. I thoroughly enjoy prayer and silence and all my prayer partners, and man, it's so juicy to me. But for some people that might take an hour, for some people make two hours out of your day, who knows? Everybody has a different set of time. Well, what do you do with the other 22 to 23 hours? Yep, some of that's sleeping. But every step I take, if my life is a spiritual practice, every time I engage somebody, every time I engage a friend, every time, whatever it is that I'm doing, if my life is a spiritual practice and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be in that practice, I assure you, it affects powerfully the texture of my life. Knowing, this is going to sound funny, but I'll explain it. Knowing my place in the world. That sounds odd, but so for example, my grandchildren, their Cuban grandmother came, she lives in Puerto Rico at this time, and she recently came up from Puerto Rico for a visit, so she's staying at their home. And I know that I have access to my grandchildren almost whenever I want. If I went and grabbed all three kids, my son and his wife would go, a break, right? So because I have that, I also can just I stayed away for days, actually stayed away to give them time with their grandmother, their abuela, as they say. I'm Nana, she's abuela, and then they have two other grandmothers. So the way gratitude plays into this is I'm so grateful. I am grateful that I have that relationship with my children, my grandchildren. I am grateful that I get to play the role that I never had. I never had a grandmother that I played with. So I'm grateful, and I'm also grateful that my grandchildren have an abundance of grandparents and love around them, from the ones that are blood related and the adopted grandparents. So because I walk in this and I live in this, there's this kind of flow and ease and grace that I have cultivated because I am in practice. My life is my spiritual practice, and a huge part of that practice is gratitude. So that's why, and I try not to take it for granted, but that's why little miracles show up. The cardinal returning to I'm not saying I attracted the cardinal, but my appreciation of the cardinal grows me. It enriches my body. It's the little miracle of a friend being willing to take a ride with me to go visit my sister in South Carolina. It's the miracle of, well, my son just moved into my home and he's living here with his dog. The miracle, the love of this pit bull, which might send some people running, but he's a mush, a big, strong, thick mush, but he's a mush. But if I live in a life where I can't see that, I'm going to miss the beauty that's all around me. Let me say it that way, until we walk in that space all the time, we have the potential of missing what is right around us. So in the rest of that affirmation that we use this month, I think and speak words of gratitude every day. Every day. A long, long time ago, when I had my first two boys and in my first marriage, I had read some kind of book, parent effectiveness training, something like that. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember that name? And what it said back then, and oddly, I can remember it because it caused me to be different, which is why sometimes we have to say these things out loud because they're not always obvious. But what the book said was, remember to thank your husband, your family, and your children for things they're even expected to do. And some of that was about putting Post-it notes on the door. A Post-it note of thank you for cleaning for cleaning your room. Thank you for taking out the garbage. So now, and this has never been spoken, but Neil and I clearly have an unspoken commitment to being in gratitude all the time. We never sat down and said, well, I think I would really appreciate you thanking me every time I cook. But the fact is that he is constantly grateful for what I do. And I turn around and I'm constantly grateful for cleaning up after me, or for taking out the garbage, or taking out the recycling, or sometimes when he gets to make the bed before I do, not too often, but when he makes the bed before I do, I say to him, thank you for making the bed. And what I'd like you to pay attention to is I want you to imagine what that feels like living in that gratitude. Now, if you say to me, well, I live alone. Well, who said that gratitude is not for the self? Add up your blessings. So I woke up today. I woke up. I'm breathing on my own. I'm walking. I'm able to work. I have a job. If you do, or if you don't, wow, I have time to explore. But the cultivating gratitude creates richness in you. And that richness shifts the mind. It shifts your receptivity. It shifts everything. And the balance of that affirmation is, I am rich because I see beauty, love, compassion, and kindness all around me. For this reality, I am so grateful. Because getting what you want is wonderful, but wanting what you get is better. It's even better. Being grateful enough that you are so satisfied with what is before you. Now, I have to admit to you, that hasn't always been simple, and I've shared this with you before, but it's a really perfect example, because I found myself regularly with an opportunity to switch my focus. So I repeat, when we moved into this home that I live in, that Neil and I own, the home was not lovely. Some of you had seen it. It was not lovely. It was not in good shape. Not the inside, not the outside. The only redeeming value was that I lived across the street from my son, his wife, and my grandchildren. That was the redeeming value. Although I happen to really love Denville now. I love living here. It's a really sweet town. But every once in a while, I would start to complain about the condition of the house. Or better, this is probably how it really went. I might invite somebody over and I'm like, oh, but my home is humble. My home is not complete, and I'd make excuses for what they were about to walk into. And then I'd have to get my head on right. I'm like, no, I have a home. I have plenty of room. I have a place for guests. I have a driveway. albeit on a hill like this. I have space. And so I had to remember to not condemn the conditions that I was living in and instead propagate gratitude. And most of you know the balance of the story. The balance of the story, we bought the house for a song. I mean, for a song, it was practically a gift. Yep, we had to put money in to fix it up. But it's the gratitude. Had I been a cause to Neil not being happy either, and if we had danced in the, oh God, this place sucks. If we had danced in that camp instead of, wow, look what we have, then we might not have ever attracted to us the opportunity to buy this home. So, and that was not immediately. If you want the next wonderful thing to happen, you start now. You start on this day. You start with this moment of appreciation. You start with this place of gratitude. Am I clear? The time to start for a year from now is today. This time to start cultivating a life of your dreams 10 years from now is today. The time to attract a new opportunity, a new career, a new relationship starts today. It starts now, and it starts in being grateful. I want to close with one last little sharing. So I was on the phone with a friend, and this person was feeling a little bit guilty about not liking something that she had to do. It engaged other people. And she was working around it and verbalizing this. And I said to her, what if it's just okay? And she started to cry. I want you to hear that. What if your life as it is right now is okay? What if it doesn't have to change? What if you don't have to add to it, fix it, convert it, grow it? What if who you are, where you are, and how you are was seen through your eyes as the most beautiful, poignant, lovely life opportunity right now? And you lived from that attitude. How would you treat things differently? How would you treat the people in your life differently? How would you treat yourself differently? What words would you speak? What different words? And how would you see? How would you see and measure your world if everything you had was really okay? What, can you feel that? Can you kind of feel that shift by just putting a stamp of approval on all of who you are? A beautiful, wonderful stamp of approval, of saying, I'm enough. I've always been enough. I will always be enough as I am in this moment, adding nothing to me. Can you feel that? That's the feeling that cultivates good, that paves the path to possibility. If you want something different, or where you get to find deep and profound satisfaction. Beautiful, loving satisfaction. So let's treat around this. And as I always do, I know y'all are doing something really meaningful that you don't want to come on screen. But for those of you who are willing to come on screen, I ask you to, and I will always ask you to. We are already distant enough. My hope is to be able to at least see your faces. Ah, beloved Beth's face. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you. All right, so come with me right now. Join me. Shift. Whether you're moving your arms touching your body so you get plugged into the body temple. Be with me right now as you and I join forces. Well, we can't really join forces. There's only one force. It's the presence, the power, and the love of the one God, beauty, love, joy, by any name. Call it whatever you want. Call it Jesus. Call it whatever you want. That this one, this essence, this flow, that right now is seeking a vessel to flow into. Let's let us as individuals, be that vessel. Affirm with me. I am open, ready, and available to the one. I am open, ready, and available for good to flow into, through, and as me. I am ready to be more love, more joy, more peace. I am ready to walk in this attitude. I am ready to carry it wherever I go. I am ready to be the absolute evidence of joyful possibility, basking in my lavish enoughness. I'm so grateful for my life, grateful for this community, grateful for each individual who's here today. Grateful for the Thanksgiving that is coming. May we prepare our vessels for this Thanksgiving meal. Let us remember to be the blessing. For this, I am so grateful. And I surrender this word and I allow it to be so. Hallelujah, and so it is. So it is. Thank you.
Couldn't be a more perfect setup. That feeling, that wonderful, wonderful feeling. There's a feeling of expansion in my chest. There's a knowing that this day will be my best. There's a quiet voice that speaks above the rest. It's spirit rising. There's a rumble in the earth beneath my feet. There's a knowing that I'm perfect and complete. There's a light in me that darkness can't defeat. It's spirit rising. Untie the ties that bind you. Let spirit just remind you. Let the light remind you of who you are. Surrender to the feeling. Spirit is revealing. Freedom has no ceiling. Yes, you'll go far. You'll go far. You'll go far. There's a tingle in the space around my heart. There's connection to this world that I'm a part. There's a joy that my new life's about to start. It's spirit rising. The joy that my new life's about to start. Spirit rising. 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 Spirit rising in me, lifting me up, setting me free. Yeah, spirit rising in me, lifting me up, setting me free. Yeah, spirit rising in me, lifting me up, setting me free. Spirit rising in me, lifting me up, setting me free. I hear you. lifting me up, setting me free. Yeah, spirit. That spirit is gratitude, right? Rising, lifting me up and setting me free. Yeah, spirit, spirit, rising in me, lifting me up, setting me free. Spirit, rising in me, lifting me up, setting me free, setting me free, rising in me, spirit, rising in me, lifting me up, setting me free.
Thank you, Ty. I don't know whether a lot of people realize this, and Joe, I left the recording on because this is Ty's original song, and a lot of people don't know how much of the music we hear from Ty he's written, that it's his, talk about the creative process. First of all, if you haven't heard Ty in person, my gosh, talk about gratitude. We are so lucky. We are so fortunate. Whatever we have created in this world that allowed us to have Ty walk into our lives, we are just so grateful because, he writes beautifully, he sings beautifully. And those of you that have been there in person or even heard him online, you get to appreciate it. We're also grateful for the message today from Reverend Michelle. So thank you. Thank you very much. And we do have now, we are going to go into the conscious giving affirmation where we express our gratitude for all that we have and for those that have come before us to bring us to this point with the center, and all of the giving, all the wonderful, the volunteering, the financial, the time, the prayers, everything. Express our gratitude for that. So it is right there in the chat. Please, you can read it along with me. I bless this gift that I give today. I give this gift from my heart, and I give it mindfully. May my gift go further to heal, prosper, and bless this center and all who enter. I accept all good that comes as a result of this flow, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is. And part of what we are so grateful for is not just the teaching, but all the opportunities of learning and growing from this teaching that are brought to us. And I know that Reverend Michelle now has a special announcement she wants to make about another incredible opportunity coming up. You've seen it in the past, but we're here again.
So it has been too long since we've had a retreat, 3 years. So save the date, February 10th to the 12th. We are going back to the Girl Scout camp retreat space that we went to. They were lovely. The food was good. The atmosphere was good. The lodging was good. I mean, I don't think anybody, well, one person had a little bit of rain in their room at a leak, but that was, I think that was only for the moment. But here's the thing. Now, I want to tell you, I'm just going to say this straight out. I want to get this part out of the conversation. It's not cheap. And but it's because it's a Friday to Sunday. You get 2 nights stay and meals and snacks all day long. They're very generous. But on top of that, so the retreat is, the cost of the retreat is whatever it is, or the cost of the stay is whatever it is. We are only putting $150 on top of that. So it will be $475 for the treat. And I'm telling you that now so you can put your money away. Because this is what I know. When you want something, you find money for it. When you want to go somewhere, you find money for it. When you want to do something, you find money for it. And if suddenly there was a concert you want to go to, you'd prioritize that. But here's the beauty. Ty and Clive and Ray Atkins are all going to be there to provide this music. This retreat is going to be rest, renewal, spiritual practice, inspiration, sweetness. I expect you to kind of float away from that weekend because of the intention. It's where the title of this one is the key, love is the key. There will be a discount for couples, and I really want you to put your pennies aside now and join us. The registration for this should be up, well, maybe by the beginning of next week with Thanksgiving here. And so just join us. You won't, every retreat we've ever had, people walk away going, oh my God, that was wonderful. We have to do it again. So here we are. Bring family, bring friends, and we're going to have a great time. So thank you.